We're going to move over to the leading story, of course, the ANC's 111th anniversary celebrations. They are reaching its peak. They're reaching their peak, at least in Bloemfontein today. Party President Cyril Ramaphosa will be delivering the party's annual January 8th statement. And the man who we speak of is about to enter that particular church you see in your picture right now. We are getting those visuals from our senior reporter, Siphamandla Goke, and his cameraman as well. So we are expecting the outlining of the party's program for the year, Faith.
Absolutely. It's about 15,000 supporters that are expected to attend the celebrations. As I said, Siphamandla Goke is out in Bloemfontein and joins us now. Spa, certainly a hive of activity this morning. Let's talk a little bit about the program that's been planned for the day.
Absolutely. That program is underway. As you see, the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, Nomvula Mokonyane, has just started that program. I'm trying to get Paul Mashatile, who is the Deputy President of the ANC. We will try and walk out now because the program is underway. We don't want to disrupt this program. But basically, what is happening here today is that the ANC is going back to where it was formed. So we are joined by the Deputy President of the ANC, Mr. Paul Mashatile. Thank you very much for time. A very big day for the ANC, 111 years old. What does that mean?
It's a very important milestone for us. 111 years, the ANC is still alive. We want to dedicate this moment to the renewal of the ANC, and that's why we have come from where it started. As you know, here in Wynhoek in 1912, that's where the ANC was formed. So we are happy to be here because, we are reviving ourselves at the birthplace of the African National Congress.
Let me release you. They are calling you. They say you need to go back inside. Thank you very much for your time. That is the Deputy President of the ANC, Paul Mashatile. Unfortunately, we have to cut that interview short because now he has to go and be seated on the podium with other leaders of the ANC. So from the Wynhoek Church, the program will move to the stadium where my colleague Muloko Moloto is. Let me throw it to him. Please pick it up, my brother.
It's a sacred place.
Well, thank you, Siphamandla Goke. At the Dr. Petros Molemela Stadium, there is not much that's happening, really. Maybe if I can just step out of shot for our viewers to have a look. Those are the women in blue blouses. Is it blue or green? These are members of the ANC Women's League. And of course, on my left, there's just a few people. They continue to trickle in. And of course, this is going to be the venue, the main venue for the major event. The president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, is going to deliver that January 8 statement that has been crafted by the National Executive Committee, newly elected from the December National Conference in Nasrec. But let me bring into this conversation Professor J.J. Tabane to give us his insightful analysis. Prof, thank you so much for your time. The January 8 statement has become a tradition for the African National Congress. And I was just reading that actually the first one was delivered in 1972 by the then president of the party, O.R. Tambo, and from 1973 to 1978 there was no January 8 statement, only to resume in 1979 to date. And as I say, the ANC has made it a tradition, but to an ordinary member of the public, at the point where the ANC is the governing party, why does it have to matter?
Well, good morning, Muloko. I mean, it's really about setting the tone for the year, theoretically, right? And I'll tell you why I say theoretically, because half the time the messages get lost along the way. So you understand that straight after the January 8 statement, there would be a National Executive Committee almost in a week's time that would determine what happens at what we call the Makotlas, the ANC Lekotla, the government Lekotla, and all of that culminating into the State of the Nation address. If you compare what happens in the State of the Nation address and what is in January 8, something goes amiss there, and it's not always a complete reflection of the two in a sense, or a duplication, because half of what happens in the January 8 is about internal ANC issues. If you remember last year, one of the priorities, there were 5 priorities that the president outlined in the January 8 statement. We won't rattle them off now because we have the whole day. We want to tackle one now in this particular conversation, which is the renewal and the rebuilding of the ANC structures, amongst other things. I think it was priority number 3. Right? Now, obviously, he's not going to talk about that in the SONA, right? And somehow, towards maybe they'll only talk about it at the General Council if there's going to be one mid-year and so on. In this case, last year it was going to be things that will culminate in the national conference that we've just finished this week, actually. So, was anything achieved, right? And could the electorate care? The electorate showed that they particularly don't care if you look at how they responded to the ANC in the last local government elections. Right? What the ANC hopes is that this year they will care, that the ANC is a better instrument of transformation, which is what the ANC said for itself to be last year. So was there any progress in that regard? If I just take out that priority, the answer is no, and I can elaborate.
Yeah, and I want to know, Prof, the ANC, obviously, when the president takes to the podium, he's going to be outlining issues that he would want to boast about, to say, this is what we have done. And there's no doubt he's going to be talking about the record since they came into power. But if you were to give us 1 or 2 things that you believe the ANC is going to say, we are proud of this, issues that they believe will capture the attention of the voters ahead of 2024.
Look, I think they unfortunately, and it really pains me to say this, having grown up in the ANC for many years, there's not much to show, right? And I want to go back to this priority about rebuilding the ANC, because that's what would appeal to the party faithfuls. You know, what have you done since the last January 8 statement in rebuilding the ANC? Let's take a look at the structures of the ANC. There are a number of provinces, I think there are 2, that have not gone to their conference.
Yes, this province, right? The Free State and the Western Cape.
And the Western Cape, right? And those are very important provinces, strategic. Here is where the ANC was born. Western Cape is where the ANC doesn't govern. You'd expect those 2 to at least be in the front of the queue when it comes to building the ANC structures. The second one is look at the leagues. Almost all the leagues, Moloko, are in tatters. The MK side of things, the veterans in collapse. In fact, there were 2 streams. They tried to go to a conference last year to sort it out. I'm not aware they have sorted it out. Secondly, the youth league is almost non-existent, and I'll tell you why I'm saying non-existent. If you take the ANC of Mbalula, just pick one, right? They would have had a lot to say about who must be the president of the ANC and lobby for that person. They used to actually be called the kingmakers.
Absolutely.
In their heyday, right? They are nowhere to be seen. Do you even know who's the convener of the...
Well, that is Nongebo Mhlauli. And I want us to speak a bit on that. Yesterday, Fikile Mbalula, the Secretary General of the ANC, was delivering the Peter Mokaba Memorial Lecture. You would know that it was Peter Mokaba's birthday. He was supposed to be turning 64 if he was alive. The former president of the ANC Youth League. And Mbalula was trying to draw parallels to say Peter was a militant, but he was disciplined. When he was reined in, he would take orders from the ANC. And Mbalula is therefore saying that the youth league should be able to be in the forefront and champion issues of young people. In the state that it's in, it's moribund, a lot of people would argue. And the last time when it was militant, it was during the time of Julius Malema, and it was the ANC under President Zuma that disbanded them for being militant. Just what is the relevance of the youth league in the context of challenges that face young people?
It's the same relevance as it was during the Mandela time. It's just that we now have a weak leadership or non-existent leadership of our youth, unfortunately. You know, there's nothing else you can say. You've just compared them with Julius Malema. That's the last serious-minded youth leader of the youth league we have had. You know, after that you had the Colin Maines of this world, and it just down south from there. The ANC Youth League is still relevant. It was destroyed by the ANC. The current ANC, you could blame Zuma. Ramaphosa was part of it. They went to talk to the Youth League and told them to keep quiet and toe the line. This thing that Mbalula is saying about being reined in, that's not that. That's a wrong focus. The Youth League should not be concerned about being reined in or destroying party line and so on. The Mandelas of this world did not behave that way. They identified a program of action that was not being implemented, and they raised their voices as youth leaders at that time to change direction of the ANC seriously. I mean, the whole issue of taking up arms through the military, the MK and so on, was actually birthed by a youth league that understood its mission at that time. And they always like to say that you need to understand your mission, either pursue it or betray it. Yeah. And in this case, it looks like the current youth leaders of our time are betraying whatever it is that the aspirations of our people are.
Thanks, Prof. I want to sneak in this last question. Last year, we saw it was ahead of the 55th National Conference. We saw the Premier of Limpopo saying Ramaphosa must be elected, and he was reined in. They actually told him that you are out of order in the ANC NEC. This time around, Ramaphosa was just re-elected. His mandate is renewed. And some people are saying, look, the past 5 years, he had really not shown to have courage, and he did not show himself to be having the backbone. Do you think this time around things will be different, that the tone of his message as he will be delivering it here will be different from the previous messages?
It's interesting that actually his tone of last year was quite firm. He talked about discipline, he talked about, you know, a renewal of the ANC and so on. And a lot of people said, oh, his tone, he was more of an authority figure. So we need to learn to lower expectations, Molok, about these things. This is a jamboree of the ANC. You'd have seen yesterday in this town, Bryce and Vianos, you know, driving into town. It's a jamboree, it's a party. Right? It's a birthday party of the ANC. Truly, we give it sometimes too much credence. The reality is that Ramaphosa may even be weaker. He's got this pala thing hanging over his head. The ANC may have brushed it under the carpet, as we have seen. They spent 2 sessions of their National Congress and did not even raise the matter. Right? I'm looking forward to asking the President what he thinks of accountability where that is concerned. That an entire highest body of this ANC did not bother asking him about something that the country has been talking about for months on end. Now, do you think it's going to be stronger to talk about anti-corruption and so on when he himself has not been able to show that he actually is able to account to his own party in terms of things that are on him? I doubt, you know, and I don't think he's going to suddenly change character because he was re-elected. I hope so. Many people are still, you know, like me, prisoners of hope that the ANC would find its way before 2024 and so on. But truly, to pin it all on January 8th, I think we must lower expectations.
Lower your expectations. That is according to Professor J.J. Dabane. We thank him for his coherent analysis. Of course, we've got the whole day here with him. And interestingly, obviously, this is happening at a time when the structures of the ANC in this very province of the Free State are in a state of paralysis. I mean, in Mangaung, you have 2 ANC regional structures. In the mother body, they held their parallel conferences on the same day after the other faction lost their bid to interdict that conference from going ahead. On the other hand, you are seeing the Youth League also having held 2 parallel conferences of their structure here in Mangaung, electing 2 parallel leaderships. So it just gives you an idea of the state of the African National Congress, particularly in the town where it was founded. Go again.
All right. Thank you very much, Moloko. Of course, he is coming to us from the Dr. Petrus Molemela Stadium in Bloemfontein, where you are now, what pictures you're now seeing is at the Vaihoek Church, of course, also in Bloemfontein. That is where the ANC NEC has assembled at the moment. Of course, these are it's just a church visit that's happening now. We are still awaiting the ANC president to arrive at that church. What we have had so far, as per the program that we are looking at, is the opening by the the ANC DSG, that is Nomvula Mukunyane. She's already stepped there. We did have our senior reporter, Siphamandla Goke, attempting to have a chat with the deputy president of the governing party, that is Paul Mashatile, but of course he had to be whisked away to go attend to what the NEC was doing at the top table. We have had also the choir singing the national anthem as, of course, Muluku Moloto was having that chat with Professor J.J. Tabane. So as per what the program is telling us, Faith, we are expecting the church service to continue. Then we are seeing, at least at about 9 o'clock, that's in some 19 minutes time, the president of the ANC should be getting there, of course, and having taken to the podium. So in picture at the moment, we are seeing a reverend who should be making an address as well in just a short while. We are seeing the chairperson of the ANC, Gwede Mantashe. So the program, as it stands, is going according to its time, but the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, is yet to arrive.
Absolutely. But then if you are wondering what time that January 8th statement will be delivered, well, according to the program, we are expecting that statement to actually be delivered at 12 o'clock. So that is at midday today by the ANC's President Cyril Ramaphosa. Then it will be followed by a cake cutting ceremony and, of course, vote of thanks, then followed by musical items as well as celebrations. As we heard there from Professor J.J. Tabane saying that it's a big party, it's a huge party of the African National Congress. We can see that Paul Mashatile, the deputy president of the African National Congress, taking to the podium. Very interesting times to follow for the ANC's deputy president, because as you would know, the ANC's deputy president is usually deployed to serve the Republic of South Africa as the deputy president. Will that be the case? Are we potentially looking at the incoming or in the future incoming deputy president of the Republic of South Africa? Well, that is to be determined, but he will be taking the podium as you can see, as the deputy president of the African National Congress. Very interesting times in South Africa indeed on the political front, especially on the ANC's front.
Definitely very interesting times. And another interesting image we are seeing at the moment, even though we're getting the women of the ANC Women's League walking past, is somebody that we've not heard from or even about in a while, that being Baleka Mbete. She, of course, is standing at that podium that is, of course, addressing, or at least having some of the NEC members. So while we wait, of course, for the deputy president, who, again, we still are asking the questions, will he be the deputy president of the Republic before the general elections? Paul Mashatile, while we are waiting his address, of course, we do know that there is going to be the reverend who will conduct the church service. So I would imagine that the song and dance at this particular moment is happening because we are waiting for the president of the ANC. So why not, buy some of that time doing song and dance? Of course, it is a celebration, as Faith was, of course, repeating what Professor J.J. Tabane was saying. It's one big party. It is the celebration of the ANC's 111th birthday. It's happening at the moment at the Vaihoek Church. This is going to be a procession that moves then to the Dr. Petrus Molemela Stadium in Bloemfontein, where we are going to be getting the keynote address, as we would potentially term it, the January 8 statement. What that January 8 statement will entail, we do not know. But one of the things we would be hoping, at least as South Africans, that it'll tell us is what are they going to be doing about gender-based violence? What are they going to be doing as the governing party about the energy crisis? What are they going to be doing about the water crisis? What are they going to be doing? KwaZulu-Natal is wanting to pay close attention to. We are dealing with floods again, just less than a year after we dealt with them last year. Heavy rains that are hitting this province. What are you going to do for us as the governing party that has been elected at the recent 55th elective conference? So at the moment, it is song and dance. We are waiting for the deputy president to make his address, should he. We are then waiting for the reverend to conduct his church service. And then, of course, the man of the moment, the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa. All of this coverage is going to be coming to you right here on eNCA, DSTV channel 403. We are just building up to it as the South African morning. So there is more that's going to be coming, of course, to you. But for now, let's just go give us and yourselves a breather.